Hello everyone, Carol here at Oak House Journals. Thank you so much for joining me. Lovely to have you with me. I'm going to do prompt number 3 in Junk Journal January 2024. So I've lifted out my first signature here, and that page on the right hand side is what I will be working on today. So I'm just showing you a scrap left over from the previous page that I might use today, and I also have a flap on that page. There we go, that's the flap, and my idea is to create a tag and pop it in that pocket or inside that flap. So here I've got 3 tags that I've made using a design that was created by Heather over at Rosehill Paper Cottages, and all 3 of these are slightly different from Heather's design, and I'm just going to run through quickly what they are. So this one's got a flap on the right hand side, and when you open it up it has a pocket there on the left and just a plain journaling spot in the middle. Very simple, this design. Nothing on the back, just the vintage document that I used as my base, and that folds over and it folds up at the bottom to create a couple of little pockets, and I've got a little Tim Holtz paper clip holding it closed. This one is the same sort of idea, except my flap opens to the left hand side, and I have a piece of paper added in there which creates a pocket behind that flap. There is also a pocket at the back which I'm showing, and then when I open it up there's also a pocket inside, another pocket, and then a lace tuck there. So slightly different, this one, not a lot, but just a variation on a theme. And again, Tim Holtz paper clip to hold it closed. Again, the little pockets at the bottom, flap opening to the right this time and leaving a bit of a journaling space. I've got some vintage lace there, and then it opens with another flap to the right, and I've put in a vintage document with a little card held in place by the crease. I've got another little pocket there with a little faux card inside, so that closes up, and then it opens up to the left. I've got a vintage document glued on there which tucks into itself, and then another little pocket behind, just folding up that vintage document, another little pocket there, and this is another very fragile vintage document that I've just done plain letter locking style to tuck it away in its pocket. And that tag has paper on it from one of the digital papers by Chapter 1 designs, and I've just tucked it in that back pocket. So 3 variations on the same theme really. So I'm going to have a go today at doing something very similar, just closing this up with the little Tim Holtz paper clip. So there are my 3 tags, so I'm going to pop those off to one side. I've got some green piano roll paper, and I've got this image to hit Throwback. Now, half of this lady, who I think is Lauren Bacall, is her in her youth, and the other half is her later on in life as she's aged, and I'm just showing there some background paper that I'm going to use to back that image, and I'm not sure whether I use that green or not, but I've got it there just in case. So here I'm just ripping off a portion of that green piano roll paper just to make it fit my image there, and I'm gluing my pieces on but leaving a gap, almost kintsugi style if you will, and then I'm going to back it onto that lovely piece of paper. So here I'm saying I'm going to stitch all the way around on my sewing machine before I glue that in place. I've inked around the edges of that, and here I've put on some vintage wallpaper on the back actually and created a flap. Here I've got vintage document that I've just folded so that I can create a front flap. That's the central portion, and I'm just folding across the corner there to create my flap. Then I'm just folding my document around my card or my topper there, folding that portion in to create a pocket, and there we go, very simple design, really easy. Just burnishing my folds and just folding up the bottom where I want it to create my little pockets on the front. Just checking that it's not going to be impeded by the topper. Reinforcing the fold of those pockets, just tearing away the first portion underneath or at the bottom of what is the flap. There you go, I've folded the flap in and just adjusting my folds there. Now you can fold a diagonal corner if you want to, or you can just leave it. I like it, so I've decided that I will make that diagonal fold. This is just a scrap of a misprint, and you will have seen me use it previously. I'm just creating a portion to go on the front of my tag, and I'm going to glue the portion that I've ripped off onto the paper again to reinforce it, because this was just basic photocopier paper, so very lightweight. I think 80 GSM. So just checking that it's the width that I want and just trimming it off. There we go, and that's where it will sit. And that little flap of wallpaper on the back of my photograph will act as a hinge. So here I've got a portion of lace that I'm going to put across the top to make a corner tuck inside. I'm just folding over that corner, and here I'm just taking away the border across the bottom of the lace. It's too heavy with that in place, so I don't want it there. And I'm just putting a dab of glue across the top of my inside of my tag. There we go. And I've got another portion, I folded over what will be the pocket, and I've got another portion to go on the front so that it looks like it's a complete continuous piece of lace. And there we go. Just gluing it in place and trimming away the excess. As you can see, I can easily open up the pocket at the moment. It's not glued or stitched down. Here I've got a scrap of paper out of my scrap box, dab of glue, and I'm putting that on the inside edge of the pocket. Because this is a vintage document, it's quite delicate, and I want to reinforce that edge. Trimming away the excess lace across that diagonal fold on the flap. And this was another piece of lace that I thought might be nice on that misprint. So dab of glue across the top, positioning my lace in place, trimming away the excess, and just checking that it will sit nicely. And then I decide to put a piece of lace on the outside of the flap. So it's glued in place, and I'm just trimming the edge away. Here I'm going in with my photograph again, just to make sure that the position is right. And I decide I want a portion of that misprint paper on the front of what will be my pockets. So here I'm just gluing it in place. Going in with my ruler to help me get a clean tear to rip away the excess. And there's a little bit on the back, there we go, that I trim away as well. So that just gives a little bit of interest on the front of my pocket. And for more interest, I'm just rolling the edges of the pocket. Here I've got a piece of Swiss dot tulle, and I'm just putting a running stitch all the way down the length of it to create a ruffle. So I'm just stitching all the way along with my needle. It took me quite a while to actually do this. And once it's done, I glue it onto a little strip of card, just taking my time to get it in place. So going back to my photograph, using the wallpaper hinge to glue it to the front pocket. There we go, it's in place. Closes nicely. Here I'm just burnishing the stitches on the reverse because I've machine stitched that piece before I glue it in place, and now I'm gluing down my pocket, but I've also stitched across that edge where I reinforced just for some interest, and I'm closing up the pocket. And here I'm burnishing all my stitches because I've gone all the way around my tag stitching it. Okay, so I'm now ready to glue down that front pocket, so a dab of glue on all three sides. You can see the dark green of my wallpaper hinge there, which is holding the front picture flap in place. Quick burnish. There we go. And I decide I want to put some tulle across the top, so I'm punching a hole with my crocodile and setting an eyelet, and that's going right through that front pocket and through the back pocket, but it's at the top so it won't be impeding anything going into that pocket. And I've just tied some French tulle through that eyelet. So here I'm gluing that little ruff that I made, trimming it off, make it slightly smaller, trimming it off, and then I use that piece of cardboard on the back to glue it to the bottom of my picture or my photograph topper. Just checking that it's going to hold my pocket in place. And here I've got some scraps of lace that I'm just gluing in the bottom right hand corner on the top of that ruff for interest, and I've put a button on there as well. And then I've got a sticker here that I'm just gluing on the bottom left hand corner of the pocket with a little Tim Holtz label to add some more details. Another one in that top right hand corner, another one on my centre of my ruff. Took a bit to stick down that one. And then I decide to add a few inside, and as you can see I've added a journaling spot to the back of my topper, and then a couple of little faux cards stuck in the front pocket, and there I've got a Tim Holtz paper clip and some more tulle, and I'm just showing that you can put it up at the top there, or you can use it to close the pockets, but the ruff actually holds it in place. So that's my inside pocket there with the lace on it and the edge stitched. Then I've got that pocket inside, lace across the top to form a tuck spot, and there I've just made a very quick journaling card with some vintage book page or paper and more of the green piano roll. And then the pocket just closes up. The ruff helps to hold it in place, and I put my little Tim Holtz paper clip embellishment at the bottom there. That's where I prefer to have it. My little cards get stuck in the pocket there. So now I'm trying to decide where to put it, and I decide that I'm going to glue my tag to that flap and use that scrap as really as a bit of an embellishment as background. So I'm showing that's how I want my page to look. And that scrap is tying in with the opposite page, but it is also giving me a divide between the two. So here I am going in to glue the back of that scrap, gluing it in place on my page, and now I'm going to glue down that flap. And the reason I've decided to do that is because I want to create a pocket for my next prompt or for my next journal page. in this Junk Journal January series, and that will give me a reinforced edge. So here I am gluing the back of my tag. Bit of a shame because I won't get to see that vintage document in all its glory on the back, but you see it inside. And there's my tag, just pushed into place. I'm opening her up, taking out that journaling spot just so that I can get some pressure to hold it in place, make sure that glue grabs well, and closing it up again. And I'm quickly putting in that little paper clip because that will give me a chance to have that as a permanent little spot for that paper clip to go, and that little area there won't glue closed, which will enable me to lift in and out that little paper clip. So a couple of photographs here, everybody, for you to have a look at in more detail what I've created for this prompt, Throwback. Hope you like it, and I hope you'll join me for the next prompt in this series, Junk Journal January 2024. So until the next video, everybody, take care. Bye bye now.